Welcome to the My Messy Grief podcast. I'm Cindy Shufflebarger, a bereaved mom and the founder of P23 Retreat, where we create space for parents to grieve. In each episode, I'll chat with a guest to learn about outlets for our grief in everyday life. By processing grief in healthy ways, we can learn to find joy again while still honoring and remembering our beloved. I'm so glad you're here, and I invite you to be fully present and just rest as you listen. You might laugh, you might cry, you might be inspired. Whatever emerges, you have permission to be curious, to learn, and to explore. So let's get started with today's guest. Well, good afternoon. We are here with Dana Kelly. She is the owner of Haven House Florals. And Dana, I just want to welcome you today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I just want to share a little bit about you. You've been married to Josh for 20 years. You guys have two boys. And interesting, I didn't know this about you, that you were originally in sports medicine. Is that right?
I was. Yeah, I loved it. It was wonderful.
That's fun. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about how you got into the floral business. But what a great place to be. So you are now, for the past 3 years, you've been the owner of Haven House Florals, correct?
Yes.
That's great.
Yep.
And she always has florals available for walk-in, but she will also design things for your special occasions, weddings, events, funerals, the whole gamut. And yeah, I've been in there. It's a beautiful space. She even hosts events and fun little activities in there as well. So I encourage you, if you are local to Hanover or the Richmond area, I encourage you to check her out. But the heart of what she does is all about connections. So getting to meet people, hear their stories, and bring a little beauty and joy to their lives. And so that is what we are all about on this podcast, My Messy Grief. As you know, in your grief, things have been messy, but I look for ways that we can engage in everyday activities or objects as healthy ways for us to process our grief and to find moments of joy and color and light in our day. So that's the reason you're here. So thank you for joining me. So can you tell me what first drew you to working with flowers and florals and plants?
Yeah. So I honestly, I was thinking about this. I think I've done it my whole life without really realizing I've been doing it. My mom was a gardener. She had lots of house plants. She always had things around the house. They had a house at the river, and when they bought it, it just had tons of hydrangea bushes and azaleas and all kinds of things. And I still remember just going out with shears and like cutting up my mom's plants and being like, "Here, look what I brought you." And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And so I think I have been doing it my whole life, just enjoying doing it. And then when I had the chance to actually work with them, people are like, "Oh, do you know what you're doing?" I'm like, "No, I have no clue what I'm doing when I first started, but I just have kind of done a little bit my whole life and just enjoy the creative outlet of it and the beautiful, beautiful flowers and colors."
That's great. That's funny that you mentioned hydrangeas. Like I think of my grandma whenever, because she had tons of hydrangeas around her house, and I miss her dearly. But I have recently started trying to propagate mine and from clippings, and so
Yeah.
I'll have to report back and let you know how that goes. But I'm hopeful because I think they are just a delightful flower.
They're my
So
favorite.
they're cheerful.
They are.
So have you? I know all people have experienced grief in some way. Are you willing to share, and maybe in what ways you've experienced grief and how flowers or nature have impacted you in that?
Sure. I mean, I think, like you said, everybody has experienced grief. There's so much grief and different journeys you can go through. For me, we experienced a lot of grief in the loss of fertility. My husband and I have dealt with an infertility journey, and that was a lot of grief. We've dealt with failed adoptions. That posed a lot of grief. Just kind of the loss of something that I think that's the thing we all share, the loss of an idea of what you think something's going to be. And then you have to kind of process and figure out how to move forward. That's definitely been a huge one for me. My mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 5 years ago. We just recently put her in the last couple of weeks in memory care. And there was definitely a grieving process with that for sure. Just the loss of having a mom in the same way that I've always had a mom. I had to grieve my kiddos having a grandmother and them not really knowing who she was. Um, so definitely there's been a lot of grief. I think the thing that I like about flowers and how they have helped me and just nature in general, I'm very drawn to nature. My soul just feels at rest in nature. I'm a water girl. So I love just sitting out on the water, dipping my toes in, just looking, watching a sunrise, um, playing with flowers, just seeing the beauty and the colors. It just kind of refocuses you. I think it doesn't make what you're going through less, but it just reminds you of the beauty and that there is a much bigger picture. And that's how it kind of helps center me. So I'm a big nature girl, plants, animals, nature, flowers, all of it. It helps me.
Yeah, I can totally relate. Like that sums up who I am. And
Yeah.
I remember in the early days after Ashlyn died, I had been in a Bible study and it ended every day with before you go to bed, say something that you're thankful for. And I was like, I don't even know that I can do that. And I was like, okay, I'm bound to be able to come up with one thing. And as I sat and looked around our living room, I was surrounded by flowers. People had sent all sorts of arrangements and encouraging words. And I started that very first day with, thank you, God, for flowers. And the
Oh,
next day I found one other thing. And then the next day I found one other thing. And that pulled me out of what could have potentially been a deep spiraling depression because obviously grief is hard. And
yeah,
we don't always want to move forward. So I I love that flowers have been a part of a healing journey for me too.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so why do you think they're such a meaningful part of flowers or meaningful part of grief rituals, whether that's funerals, memorials, even like a private remembrance?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think there's so many reasons. I think because so many people are drawn to nature, whether they recognize it or not, I think that's just part of human nature is to be drawn to things like that. I think it's really flowers, especially, is able to send something really beautiful among sorrow. Just when things feel dark and dreary and hard, especially if you can't be there or you can't be there in the way close to the person because they need their space and they need to grieve, just sending something that's just a beautiful reminder of not only the reason for the grief in a beautiful way if somebody's lost someone, but just that, hey, I'm here for you. I want to send something that's beautiful. I want you to know. I want you to see it. It's interesting. It's used in almost every culture all across the
Oh,
world.
really?
There's so many floral things, especially with people when they pass, like all of the things that they do. Different countries have certain specific blooms for specific meetings and how they handle it. I mean, you can see biblical times, the stuff, the herbs, all the things they would do. And I just think that's like ancient. And so I think that has been passed down culturally as well. Um, and I also think about flowers is that it's just connected to like a human experience. We
Mhm.
as people are the same as flowers. We bloom, we fade, and we return to earth. I mean, I think
Mhm.
there's something that's just in general why people I think are just innately drawn to nature. I think flowers are great like that. And one of the things when I talked to some people at the shop about it, I think kind of the biggest response was it's just like an act of care. It's the last act of care. So there's a sweet lady who is at the flower shop and she will take petals to her mother's grave. And it's like, I
Wow.
honor you. I remember you. You mattered to me then. You still mattered to me now. And it's something you can kind of have for the departed people as too, which I think is really special.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I have often heard parents who've lost a child say that, and this was the case for me, they felt like all of the color drained out of life. And so it's interesting. Maybe that's why I was so drawn to flowers because there's color in
Mhm.
them. And when we can't seem to find it in our day to day, something as simple as that can be an encouragement and hopeful. So
Absolutely. I can see that.
yeah. Yeah. Do you have a preference for whether it's greenery or whether it's colorful flowers?
I like them all. I can't choose. I
I
think it really
see
depends
plants
on the
behind
person.
you.
Yep, yep. I always have lots of plants around me. I won't show you the ones that don't look quite as green as this one. Um, but yeah, I like them both. I like plants because they're long lasting. But I love flowers because I heard somebody say, and I think I thought of it with one of the questions you sent, but flowers keep us in the moment. Like they're not
Mm,
meant to last.
yes.
They're meant to be beautiful.
Oh,
They're meant to enjoy the now, and
right.
then they're meant to go. And I think that's something that's really special about flowers.
Mm. You might be able to add a little bit of knowledge for me. Do you see the little plant like peeking out behind me over my shoulder here? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a peace lily, and it was given to me when Ashlyn died. So
Yeah.
it's almost 19 years old. I don't know, will it carry on forever?
It can. Certainly, they are
Okay.
wonderful. You may divide them at some point if they get too big. But yeah, they are great flowers. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that so many people send them
Mm,
because they're a lower maintenance flower and they just are flower and plant and they
right.
just last for a long time. They mean a lot for people.
Mm. Yeah, I have several of them from that time frame, and they're
Yeah,
still going strong.
I love it.
Yeah. So, what are some flowers that you feel express grief, remembrance, or hope particularly well? You obviously we just talked about the peace lily. Maybe that's our little segue.
Yeah. So I think I don't have a great answer for this question. And I think the reason is because I feel like it's different to everybody. I feel like the best way to, so people will come in a lot or they'll call and say, I want to send flowers in remembrance of somebody. I want to support, the loved ones. I don't know what to do. This is not my thing. I don't know anything about flowers. I don't know what to do. What should I do? And so my advice to them is just what reminds you of them. I think
Mm,
anything that like reminds you of the person, especially somebody who's departed, because I think that is some sweet thing that you can give to the person that it's being delivered to. So
mm,
things, if the person is bright and full of life, let's give them a bright, cheerful, fun arrangement because it's indicative of who that person was. If it's just timeless elegance, we can do that. If it's, natural and wild and a little crazy, we can do that. And I think it's just kind of a nod to the person. I think there's certainly, I think in history used to be more of, certain blooms mean certain things, and there still is some of that. But I feel like now the best way to honor somebody is just the way that makes you think of them. That's my advice to people when they're not sure what to do. And so that's kind of what I go with.
I love that. And that can go for anything, a birthday, a graduation. Like,
Totally.
I absolutely love that. I don't know why I haven't thought of that before, but what a great piece of advice for when you're purchasing an arrangement.
Well, thank you. Maybe it's just because
Love
I
that.
couldn't remember for what each
Right.
thing meant. So it's in
It's
my
all
secret
good.
code.
It's interesting. You talk about what reminds us of someone. So, about 3 or 4 months after Ashlyn died, I was sitting in the botanical gardens and I was praying for God to just give me some reminder of her. Like, I had this fear of forgetting her because she was only here for 3 days. And so I was like, God, give me some reminder of her. And I was sitting on a bench, and right beside me was a rose bush. And I reached over and touched the petal of this rose, and it felt exactly like her skin. And it was a yellow rose. My husband, if you ever see us like out and like shopping for flowers, we're like, he will touch the petals to try to
Oh,
get the closest one. Anyway, but so yellow roses make me think of Ashlyn for that reason because it was a tangible reminder of what her skin felt like. So anyway, another little nod to creating that memory.
that's beautiful. That's really a
Yeah,
special way.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not sure that the botanical gardens appreciate me touching all the flowers, but I try to make sure nobody's watching. I'm not harming the flowers, am I? Right?
Right. No,
Okay.
you're just petting them. It's totally fine.
Right. It's really gentle. Like I'm not plucking
Right.
petals. I'm just gently touching to find the right one.
Yeah, I took my mom with Alzheimer's to the botanical gardens, and she loves flowers so much, and just picked them. I'm like, oh, mom's going to
Oh,
jail today.
oh no.
Get it? It's all good. You didn't
Right.
pick anything.
Okay.
We're
I didn't pick anything. I didn't harm anything. My goodness. So flowers are like for everybody, right? Everybody can
yeah.
appreciate the beauty of them. Um, so we talked a little bit about symbolic meanings. we talked a little bit about being surrounded by natures and plants and why that helps us. Do you believe there's a therapeutic or even spiritual element to arranging flowers?
I do. I definitely do. I think there's something really, really special about what we do. I think sometimes, if I'm being very honest, you get caught up in the job and the mundane part of
Mhm.
just, we have an order, let's get through the order, let's do the things. But I think it's a good reminder. The people in our shop, we talk a lot about what we do. And I have a wonderful friend that she sells hair care products. And at the end of the day, she's like, it's just shampoo. It's not a big deal. And we sometimes will say it's just flowers. Like nobody's life depends on it. Nobody, it's not the same kind of pressure. However, we really recognize that a lot of the times we are not intimately involved with a lot of the people that we are making flowers for, but we do recognize that we are the bridge between the sender of love and the receiver of love. And so we just try our best to honor that and do our best with it. I think the creativity of it is really wonderful. I think just being able to create something for somebody is a gift. I think in the world right now, we're very self-centered just as a society. So I think being able to create something beautiful and then give it away is just a really great practice. And so I think there's something spiritual about that. But yeah, I feel really grateful to do this every day. And at the end of the day, it's just flowers, but we get to make people smile. And there's a lot that's going on in the world that doesn't. And so generally anything we do makes somebody's day better, whether it's to celebrate or sympathy, it's giving love. And that's a huge gift right now, I feel like.
How beautiful. And I'm jealous that you get to, that's your world you live in.
I do. I do. People say all the time, "Oh, I want to have a flower shop when I retire." And it's a beautiful sentiment. It is still definitely a lot of work and things, but it really is it's a great thing to do. I feel really
Right.
blessed that I get to do that every day, for sure.
Well, I'm glad you actually sit and give some thought to the fact that, wow, it's not just being a florist. It's, you are spreading joy and love and being that conduit. Um, and what a gift.
It is. It is. Yeah, for sure. It really
Oh,
is.
I love that. Um, so, what have flowers taught you about beauty, renewal, and faith, especially in the context of loss?
So much. I feel like they just in general, anything in nature is just life-giving. Um, I feel like I said before, flowers really teach us to be in the moment, and to enjoy that. I have really realized that a lot recently with my mom's Alzheimer's journey. There's just so many heartbreaking moments. But there's also so much beauty in some of the moments, and you just have to look for it. And I think there's something really special about that. And it's good reminders. I think that there's also, you know, flowers are perfect and they're imperfect. I think just being able to look at something, taking a step back and looking at something and just seeing the perfection. If you look at a dahlia and just all of the leaves and all of the colors, and it's just like how is this created if it wasn't for God? Like it's just so beautiful, but it's also imperfect. There's little, bugs that have nibbled the leaves and things like that. And I feel like that's us, right? Too. It really, we can mimic that. And I think plants are kind of the same thing. I mean, it's just something that you can nurture and love on and take care of. And it's kind of this little microcosm that you can work on, and be able to enjoy that little bit of time without the pressure of something like that, but in a bigger sense. It's something you can kind of have to yourself. And yeah, it's just, I feel like loss and grief is one foot in front of the other. I feel like, taking care of things, it's one foot in front of the other. It's just what you can do next. It's what's the next thing I can do? I'm going to put this in a vase. I'm going to feel better. Yeah, I really enjoy, I feel like nature is like the great binding agent of life.
Right.
There's lessons to be learned within it.
Well, and as you know, I've told you that I fully engage things. And so, like, you can engage lots of senses with flowers. You can smell them, you can touch them, you can watch them change. So, yeah, I think that's beautiful. They feel luxurious to me. It's just, I don't know what it is about it. It just, I love flowers. I'm curious to know, do you bring them home and always have flowers all over your house, or do you mainly have green plants at home?
I don't. I used to bring them home. It depends on the season,
Okay.
whether I bring them home. I see so many of them during the day. We try to, if there's extra flowers, sometimes I'll bring them home. A lot of times I'll give them away. We do what's called
Uh,
spread kindness bouquets. So we'll
oh,
take stuff that either is a little bit older that we don't want to put in our arrangements that have sat there and they're still beautiful and have life to them, but not maybe as much as we would have. We take them around to schools or local businesses, or we'll drop them off at retirement homes. My mom would love them. You know, we would get a bucket of flowers when we clean out the cooler, and mom would just like eyes light up, like, I get to have
uh,
this. So I try to give them away more because I get to play with them at home. And also, I don't want to clean any more vases. We clean a lot
right.
of vases.
Vases are not easy to clean either.
Some of them are not. So I'd rather give them away and let everybody else enjoy.
Elton,
But I do love plants. I probably have more plants than that. And
do you?
hopefully most of them are green.
Right? I struggle in that department a little bit, to be honest, but I do my best.
Yeah, I get it.
I've gotten better.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I have a whole shop and that's very green. So I get a pass when I forget to do it at home. Like, whoops.
I struggle with why can't I keep a succulent alive? Like they're supposed to be the easiest things. I don't know if I'm overwatering them, if they're not getting enough light. I don't know. I see that seems to be where I struggle.
Yeah, I've killed lots of those, honestly.
Have you?
You have to lovingly ignore them. That's what you have to
Right.
do. You have to lovingly ignore them. If you remember you have a succulent, you're probably going to kill it. You need to just forget you have it for a little while. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. It's been a month. Then you water it and then they'll do great.
It's okay.
But if you look at them funny, every once in a while, they'll just be like, no,
Right.
I'm done here.
Done.
You're
Right.
very
And they
introverted.
just like shrivel up and disappear. It's like, what even happened to it?
I know.
Anyway, sorry. So, do you have a favorite story of how flowers have helped someone through a difficult season?
You know, I thought about this. I I can't say that I have a favorite story,
Mhm.
but I thought of lots of different stories. So maybe not so much a difficult season. Some of them have been. So I was thinking we have a father who comes in, and he just moved here recently, and he kind of came in a little bit of a huff, and we're like, oh, how can we help you? And he's like, I'm panicked. I just moved here. And I give my daughter sunflowers every year on her birthday. That's what we do. He is a single parent. He's like, I'm with her all the time, and she's gone right now. And I have an hour, and I went to the grocery store and they don't have sunflowers, and I'm in a panic. And so luckily we had them in. And so we got to speak with him. And that was just a really sweet, special thing. There was a story of a husband and wife that had gone through a really tough period and didn't know if their marriage would kind of survive this rough patch. And they did a lot of work. And then he gives her flowers every day, every month on the day of the month that their anniversary is. And so that was really
Aw.
sweet. And you get to see that. There's a child, and he had been doing it for a while. We've had him for the past 3 years. And he was actually at this point in high school, but he would come, and when his mom would have a rough day, he would drive and he would just get her something. It'd be very small. It'd be like a bunch of baby's
Aw.
breath or a little something to take home. And he left for college, and he wanted to leave flowers so she didn't know. So once he was gone, she would realize that he had left something. Like, that's so beautiful. We had a father who had lost a daughter, who wanted to take pink roses to their church to honor his daughter and hand them out just as in remembrance of her. That was really special. There's a lot of little stories like that I feel like we've been a part of. And that, there's been times with people having a peace lily coming in and saying, hey, it's not doing so well. I really need some help with this. But I think people just are really appreciative of the beauty of it. And I love all the little tiny stories. That's kind of where the beauty is for me, all these little things that you see. And that we have a dad that always orders his daughter's prom flowers. I know the mom, and I've never heard from the mom to order. That's like the dad thing. And there's just some really sweet things that kind of happen over flowers, or for, Valentine's Day, a dozen roses for mom, a dozen roses for my daughters. And it's just, there's a lot of sweetness like that.
That's beautiful. I love that. What a
Yeah.
and what a fun part of your job to really see love in action, or
Yes,
kindness, or whatever goodness there is. That's just beautiful.
it really is.
Yeah. So I'll wrap up with, if there's somebody here today kind of in a space of deep grief, what would you say to them about the healing power of flowers?
I would say that I'm not sure about the healing specific power of flowers, but I think what's healing about it is get some for yourself.
Mm,
Let somebody give them to you. Um, it's okay. I think in grief, we feel so guilty if we're happy. I
mm,
think we feel guilty when we smile at something or enjoy something. Um, And I think that's the beauty sometimes of flowers, to get them for yourself, treat yourself like you deserve it. You deserve to look at something happy. And sometimes you can't handle a grand gesture, but maybe you can just handle grabbing a few flowers, cut them from the yard and put them in a vase and put them next to your bed. So when you wake up and you feel terrible and all you want to do is go back to sleep, look at those. I think there's something powerful about that. And I think just the same way with plants. I think when you feel like, I think intrinsically sometimes when we are in deep grief, we don't want to take care of ourselves. And
mm.
sometimes it's just because you don't want to. And sometimes it's almost a punishment. It's this feeling of guilt. Like if somebody else is not okay, I can't be okay. And I think sometimes we don't want to take care of ourselves. Like you can get a plant and nurture a plant. And the thing is, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Like it's not this huge a situation that you have to be so concerned about, but it just gives you something. When you
Mm.
can't take care of yourself, take care of something else. And I think it's just step by step, it's something to build on. I just think there's a lot of healing in nature, and there's a lot of that, and do a little bit for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. So, any other parting thoughts or something you want to share? A favorite flower? Anything about your shop? Like before we close?
Yeah, I love all flowers. I do love hydrangeas. The one tip that I kept thinking of with this that I wanted to share, and I wasn't exactly sure how to put it in, people who have gone through a loss of somebody and they get flowers or they get plants, especially with plants, I think people really enjoy it. But your peace lily, for instance, I really want people to be released of the guilt
Mm.
if you unalive your plant. It is okay.
Okay.
I think there's so many people that seriously have been just distraught
Mm.
over feeling like this was my son's. Like my son, I had this sweet woman. This was my son. This was from his service, and I can't lose this. And I messed it up, and I can't lose it. And I need you to save it. And I understood that. And I promise you, I babied this thing like I woke up at 3 a.m. thinking about this plant.
Aw.
But I do want to release people that it's meant to be a joyful thing. It's meant to be in remembrance of somebody. It's meant to bring you hope and renewal and peace. And if it is not, or if it is not thriving, that is not a reflection of you. It is not a reflection of the person. It is meant to bring joy. And when it no longer brings joy, it is not serving its purpose. And so I just want people not to feel like they don't need that grief all over again. This plant is
Right.
not the person you are grieving. And it's okay if something happens to the plant. So that's something that's my PSA, I feel like, because
Right.
that happens a lot. And I don't want, the
Right.
whole point of the person, somebody giving it, is just to send you love. And I want to release anybody, like nobody giving you this would want you to feel any kind of grief or sadness over it. And so that's a big thing. So that was my PSA. The other thing that I wanted to say that I feel like has helped a lot of people is we do subscriptions in our shop. And so I know a lot of other places all around the country do subscriptions. And, we feel like in the midst of grief, we'll send something if there's a funeral service. And I think that's beautiful. I think there's so much in that to surround you, like you had, just surrounded by flowers. But I think sometimes that people will do that immediately after a loss. And then, as we all know who have been through grief, like real grief sometimes starts after that, like
Right.
moving on.
Right.
And so there's something really powerful about just sending, whether it's flowers or a plant or a card, do something. I think that the power of a subscription is really nice because it's just set up that you can give something consistently. And I think a lot of people who've gone through it, it's kind of when all of the noise and the things and the action steps you can do, when that stops, that's when things become really hard. So I would just suggest that don't forget afterwards, whether it's a subscription or later on, do something other than just maybe the anniversary of the date. Just send it along, because the people going through grief, they don't just think of it on the anniversary. It's always there. And so just sending something is really a powerful, beautiful thing. And it's doing it when nobody has to,
Right.
So that's something that's really good, I think.
Such a great, great reminder. I remember the day, like I used to look forward to the mail coming, just because I knew there was going to be some hope of encouragement coming in the mail. And it stopped abruptly. The meal stopped, the card stopped at 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And I still very much was in the throes of grief and trying to figure that out. And that's not to say that I didn't have friends checking on me or, remembering me, but there was a definitive time where everyone else goes back to life, as they should. And we're still wrestling with how do we move forward, because part of us we don't want to move forward because it means we're moving forward without our child. And then, but we don't want to be stuck in this place either of being miserable all our lives. There's still life to be lived. And so it's a hard place to navigate. So I love that idea of a flower subscription. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So check on your friends that are grieving. They don't stop
Sure.
magically at a certain day. Obviously, yes, remember the anniversaries and birthdays and things like that, but just because, even if it's a text to say, hey, I'm remembering Ashlyn today, or I'm remembering you in your grief today, that can be such a huge encouragement as well.
Yeah, I
So.
totally agree.
So thank you so much, Dana. I wish you great success with Haven House Florals, and I'm going to be stopping by again soon.
Yay.
But what a beautiful thing you're doing, and bringing hope and joy and beauty to people's lives. And so carry on with that good work. And I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate all the work that you're doing. You're delivering that same hope to people in tough times. So I'm so grateful for all that you do and all the work and time dedicated to all that you do. I'm excited. Thank you for letting me be this tiny part of it. It was fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us for this episode of My Messy Grief. Grief is a reminder of our love for someone. Grieving is hard work and is meant to be felt, not fixed. If you know a parent grieving the loss of a child, send them our way at p23retreat.org. Likewise, if you want to help to support our ministry, drop by our website to give the gift of hope to a grieving parent. May today be filled with moments of light, even in the darkness and messiness of grief.